Hello and welcome back to a new episode, and what an episode we are gonna offer today. Practically we are gonna destroy once and for all cancel culture. This thing cannot go on. It has taken proportions that it shouldn't have. We are so pissed off on it. Practically in the country, I'm talking about US, in the country that has created freedom of speech, way before any other in the world, this cancel culture cannot go on. This cancel culture that destroys the right of each person to have an honest opinion without insulting anybody, simply stating your own opinion. You can be cancelled, you can be destroyed. Your career and your life can easily be a thing of the past. But before we start, as a precondition, I want to say the location where we're doing this video. We are doing it from Europe. The place you are looking up to because of the socialism. Yes, all you see is the fact that we have free healthcare and free education. You don't see the sky-high taxes that we have to pay. You don't see that all of these advantages go to people that usually do not contribute. You don't see all this. You don't see the high taxes. You see it from a third-party background. That, oh, this would be nice, but it isn't. We live it. We live socialism, and it sucks down here. That's why we look up to you guys. That's why we look up to America, the only place in the world where you can come with nothing and become the best in a certain domain. And nowadays, you are all like, cancel culture. And that thing that you invented and now you ignore. And it's called freedom of speech. You have forgotten about it. You have forgotten about the most important thing that you have invented. Why? Because we want to reclaim back freedom of speech. Yes, this is 2021 and we want freedom of speech. This freedom of speech was lost along the way, and we want to prove why cancel culture is doing exactly or even more harm that dictators like Hitler has done in the past, and we're gonna prove that one by one with reasoning and arguments for you to see clearly the strategy they are trying to make to shut us all up. And who is controlling this? Because this is a movement. This is a movement in order to gather a lot of power concentrated for a small group of people. Exactly like Hitler did, and exactly like Gaddafi or Saddam or every dictatorial or Stalin is responsible for murdering 20 to 25 million people. Cancel culture is doing so much harm today. You are destroying innocent people. Innocent children are losing everything, are being destroyed. Their careers are being shut off. And if you ask a person what's more important to them, the career is what is giving them life. And cancel culture strikes all of them. So how does this succeed? So first of all, what do you want? What do you need? If you are an evil person, if you are an evil movement, what do you have to do in order to gather space? So you have to take some minorities and you have to take some actions out of context. And they are taking racial inequality, racial institutionalized, and a lot of out of context reasoning. Some people of color maybe who were fired or didn't get into colleges because they didn't have good grades, and they switched on the opinions on that. And a lot of oversized people who practically are refusing the fact that they have diabetes and that their life is in danger. And practically that's a fact. They are changing the course of how we look at medicine, of what we are considering healthy or not. So they are taking these minority aspects of life, these minority incidents, they are turning it to scale. They are making speeches that can resonate to people out of different corners of the world. They are frustrated, but for the wrong reasons, and they are changing all that in order to believe that everyone that states the truth is lying. Now, I want to give you a similarity. I want to give you a very small example. So if you're a conservative white person, in the minds of the cancel culture, you're a racist. Back in the day, if you were a Jew, you were owning a shop, either it's jewelry or other type of shop of grocery or clothing. They had a lot of those back then. In the eyes of Hitler, you were responsible of the downfall of Germany's economy. This is exactly the same thing. Hitler was canceling you, was dismissing the truth, was changing the angles, and it was practically remodeling the reality in order that his madness actually makes sense. And he would cancel, yes, I use that word, cancel or exterminate or even kill all who would oppose. I mean, he would make a rule, and this is actually a fact, he would make a rule that people who ride bicycles on certain streets are sentenced to death. He literally made those rules. It's very similar to the rules applied today, to the rules applied to Gina Garano. Practically, you are speaking out your mind. If you have an innocent opinion, you are fired. Fired, I say, in a world controlled by capitalism, in a world where your career is absolutely everything. The difference I see between what Hitler and Stalin and other dictators has done and the cancel culture that is going on is that in the first case, the Hitler's regime was backed by the state. It was a governmental institution that was doing this. In our case, these are privately owned institutions. These are economical entities. These are privately owned companies. But the effect is the same. The effect is that the citizen of a certain country does not have the right to speech, and this should not happen ever, especially not in America. America was practically the creator of freedom of the speech. And this is what's happening in America. This is unbelievable. This is shocking at so many levels. I'm not expecting snowflakes to be smart enough to detect what is hate speech, what is actually an insult, or what is simply someone's opinion and his right to express his opinion. Okay, but in this case it's clear that Gina Garano was just expressing her opinion, and the companies that had cancelled her, the companies that had fired her, knew exactly what they are doing. You can argue all day that the companies did not do anything illegal, which is right, which is correct. It's perfectly legal to fire somebody, but it's about the concept, it's about the principle. You hire someone for his skills in that domain. You shouldn't care what that someone, his or her private life is, or their actions in their private life, or more, even more so, their opinions. You shouldn't care. You hire them for their skills, and that's it. If you don't like them based on their skills, don't hire them. If you hire them based on their skills, you should fire them only based on their skills. You shouldn't care about their opinion. You shouldn't care what they do in their private life. Because this is democracy. You're allowed to do different things in your private life. You are allowed to have your opinions. Whatever snowflakes like it or not. We don't live in dictatorships anymore, like Hitler or Stalin or and so on. Anybody is allowed to have their own opinion. Everybody. Out on the table, the idea of probably having a standard for protecting employees, because you're hiring someone for their skills. If you're hiring someone for their skills, you should fire someone for this exactly the same reasons. If they're doing their job good or bad, not based on their political opinions, not based on their political views, and definitely not based on their private life. They should be able to do whatever they want in their private life as long as they do the job you pay them for. That's how the world should work, but it's not. Apparently it's not, and it's not in the country you would expect less, in America, where theoretically is freedom of speech. Apparently there is no freedom of speech in America nowadays, because snowflakes with mental issues can ruin your life for nothing. I really cannot believe I'm doing this video about America. We always looked up in. Anyways, for being fired, Gina Garano indirectly has proven that she was right. We live in a dictatorship, in an invisible dictatorship, and what it's even worse, this dictatorship is not controlled by the government, but by private companies. And that might be a problem.